the Zodiac Killer remains one of the most enigmatic and terrifying figures in the annals of crime history. Operating primarily in Northern California during the late 1960s and early 1970s, this unidentified serial killer left a haunting legacy of brutality and taunting letters. The Zodiac's chilling reign of terror included a series of unsolved murders, cryptic messages, and puzzles sent to newspapers and law enforcement. His ability to evade capture and his mocking correspondence with the authorities have cemented his place as one of the most infamous and mysterious criminals of the 20th century. The Zodiac's first known attack occurred on the night of December 20th, 1968, at a secluded spot on Lake Herman Road, California. 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen and 17-year-old David Faraday were enjoying their first date when they decided to park in a remote area, seeking a moment of privacy. Little did they know, a sinister figure was watching. The killer approached their car, firing a shot into the rear wheel, possibly to prevent their escape. As the terrified couple tried to flee, the attacker opened fire. Betty Lou was struck multiple times as she ran, and David was shot once in the head at close range. Both teenagers died at the scene, marking the brutal beginning of the Zodiac's spree. The terror continued on July 4th, 1969, at Blue Rock Springs Park, where 18-year-old Darlene Ferrin and 19-year-old Michael Mageau became the Zodiac's next victims. That night, the couple noticed a strange car following them as they drove to the park. After parking, the car pulled up beside them. Initially, the couple thought the man approaching their vehicle, shining a flashlight into their faces, might be a police officer. However, the stranger suddenly opened fire, shooting them multiple times. Darlene tragically succumbed to her injuries, while Michael, despite being critically wounded, survived and later provided a description of the assailant. Shortly after the attack, the Zodiac himself called the police, calmly confessing to the shooting and claiming responsibility for the earlier Lake Herman Road murders. This brazen call marked the beginning of his infamous communications with the authorities, adding a chilling layer to his already terrifying modus operandi. On August 1st, 1969, the Zodiac Killer made a bold and public entrance by sending letters to three major Bay Area newspapers: the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald. Each letter detailed his involvement in the murders at Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs Park, and included a cipher. The killer demanded that the cipher be published on the front pages of the newspapers, threatening to go on a killing spree if his demand was not met. When the cipher was decoded by a couple in Salinas, it revealed a chilling message. The Zodiac expressed a disturbing enjoyment of killing, likening it to more fun than killing wild game in the forest, and spoke of collecting slaves for the afterlife. The Zodiac's correspondence did not end there. He continued to send more letters and ciphers, each more taunting and cryptic than the last. In these subsequent communications, he not only provided detailed accounts of his crimes, but also issued threats of future violence. The letters were laced with an eerie confidence, as the killer mocked the police and the public's inability to catch him. His use of ciphers kept both authorities and amateur sleuths busy, with some codes remaining unsolved for decades. The Zodiac's letters served as both a means to terrorize and a way to maintain control over the narrative of his heinous acts. The Zodiac struck again on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa, targeting college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard. The couple was relaxing by the lake when they noticed a man approaching. Unlike previous attacks, this time the Zodiac was dressed in an executioner-style hood, emblazoned with his now infamous cross-circle symbol. He carried a gun and a knife, and after tying up Brian and Cecilia, he brutally stabbed them both. Before leaving the scene, the killer wrote a message on Brian's car door, detailing the date and time of the attack, and signing it with the Zodiac symbol. Brian miraculously survived the attack, despite severe injuries, and was able to provide a detailed description of the encounter. Tragically, Cecilia succumbed to her wounds after being transported to the hospital. In a chilling echo of his previous crimes, the Zodiac called the police from a payphone to report the double stabbing, once again taking credit for his gruesome deeds. Just weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac struck again in San Francisco. His victim this time was Paul Stein, a 29-year-old taxi driver. The killer entered Stein's cab and directed him to a location in the Presidio Heights neighborhood. Upon arrival, the Zodiac shot Stein in the head at point-blank range and then took a piece of his shirt as a macabre trophy. The Zodiac's escape was almost thwarted when 3 teenagers witnessed the murder from a nearby window and promptly called the police. Despite the quick response, the police narrowly missed apprehending the killer due to a miscommunication that described the suspect as a black man, when in fact, he was white. Following this murder, the Zodiac continued his pattern of taunting law enforcement by sending a piece of Stein's bloodied shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle, along with another letter. In this correspondence, he brazenly mocked the police for their failure to catch him and threatened to shoot out the tires of a school bus and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out. This shocking threat heightened the fear and paranoia surrounding the Zodiac's reign of terror, cementing his status as a cunning and dangerous criminal. The Zodiac Killer's crimes have generated numerous theories and suspects over the years. Many experts believe that the killer possessed military knowledge, given his proficiency with firearms, coded messages, and possibly even cryptography skills. These elements suggest a person with a background in the armed forces or someone with a keen interest in military tactics and codes. Motives for the killings remain speculative, ranging from a desire for infamy to deeply rooted psychological issues. Among the main suspects, Arthur Lee Allen stands out as a significant figure. Allen, who had a military background, exhibited suspicious behavior and matched some aspects of the Zodiac's profile. He was reported to have owned a Zodiac brand watch, which bore the same symbol used by the killer. Despite these connections, no concrete evidence, such as fingerprints or DNA, directly linked Allen to the crimes. Another notable suspect, Richard Gaikowski, bore a physical resemblance to the composite sketches of the Zodiac. Gaikowski was also involved in the newspaper business, which some speculate could explain the Zodiac's detailed knowledge of the media. However, like Allen, there was no definitive evidence to confirm his involvement. The mystery of the Zodiac Killer endures, with several of his ciphers remaining unsolved until recently. In December 2020, a team of codebreakers managed to crack the infamous 340-character cipher, revealing a disturbing message from the killer. However, this breakthrough did not bring investigators any closer to identifying the Zodiac, as the message provided no concrete clues about his identity. The Zodiac himself claimed to have killed 37 people, a number that far exceeds the confirmed cases attributed to him. This discrepancy has led to ongoing debates about the true extent of his crimes and the possibility of unreported victims. The Zodiac Killer's impact on the public and media has been profound. The fear he instilled in the late 1960s and early 1970s has left a lasting mark on American culture. The case has inspired numerous books, movies, and documentaries, and continues to fascinate both amateur sleuths and professional investigators. The enduring mystery of the Zodiac Killer, with his cryptic messages and elusiveness, has made him one of the most infamous and enigmatic figures in criminal history. As we reflect on the legacy of the Zodiac Killer, it is clear that his story continues to captivate and haunt the public imagination. The unanswered questions and unsolved puzzles keep the case alive, making it a perennial subject of intrigue and speculation. Despite the many theories and suspects that have emerged over the years, the true identity of the Zodiac Killer remains a mystery. As we close this exploration, we encourage you to share your thoughts and theories in the comments. What do you think motivated the Zodiac? Who do you believe might have been responsible for these heinous acts? And thank you for watching this video on the Zodiac Killer. If you found it interesting, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe for more content on mysteries, true crime, and unsolved cases. Stay tuned for our upcoming videos, where we'll delve into more intriguing topics. Remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown.